friends. Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 104. Today is Friday, February 2nd, and I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Thanks for joining me. As you see, it's a beautiful day today outside, sunny. The high temperature will be in the mid-60s. This is winter time. This is proper winter in North Carolina. People who move to North Carolina, this is why they move. Now, I, of course, would love to have some snow. It's not out of the question. We've had snow here as late as mid-March, so still could happen. Anyway, Flosstube means cross-stitch and Variety Show means something else. Now, it's been 2 weeks since I did a Flosstube video. Last week, Cindy and I did a galloping horse video. And if you are a fan of quilting at all or sewing or other projects of that sort, you really should check that out, because not only does Cindy in particular have interesting projects, but we have such a good time together. It's wonderful. But this one is cross stitch, a normal Flosstube video, and the Variety Show will be, well, we'll just have to see. Anyway, here we go. I will start by talking about last weekend. It's funny, I have it written down that let me just look at my book for just a second. I keep a little, in my notebook, my regular notebook, I keep a calendar of what I work on. Yeah, that's right, 2 weekends ago. That's what it is. That's why I'm confused. Was the third weekend of the month. And on the third weekend of the month, I and my friend Leslie and any of you who would like to join stitch Christmas-themed stitching on the third weekend of each month. And we have the hashtag NativitySal. And I'm working on that chart, Bethlehem by Diane Arthurs, and I got a fair amount done. At this rate, I think this is roughly a fifth of it, maybe. So, or maybe a sixth. So I'll get there. Oh my, here's something I didn't even take out of the package. I keep some of my projects in these. This is very poorly planned. I really did plan, I have a huge stack of things here, but for some reason I didn't do this very well. This is Sampler 193 by 2x2 Stitch Art on Etsy. She has a lot, she has a lot of really nice patterns. A lot of them are these large. And I'm sorry, I'm not taking the hoop out because I plan to stitch in that area, maybe even later today, but you can get the idea of what it is. So I did quite a bit in here. These little disconnected circles and crosses are my least favorite parts of it, because I just am not willing to start and end each one of them in this piece. And so there's traveling, and I have to think about how to make it as little as possible. But anyway, this is a great stitching to do when you can't pay good attention. And also it's on Pattern Keeper, so that helps a lot. I should be setting these things over on this chair. You would think, after all the times I've been doing these videos, that I would be better. A. Robson, 1897. This was the retreat piece from the Great British Sampler weekend last fall, and I'm working on the sampler. I've already completed this pillow, which was based on the sampler, and it's very, very fun. And I got quite a bit done on this as well. I wanted to get all the way down to the bottom, and so in order to get there and be sure I was on track, I also started the rows, several of them, but you can see I made it down to the bottom. So that's a fun thing to just stick in a few places. The two colors are really nice. This is 36 count Woodsmoke by Tabby Cat Linens. And these are two colors of Soie silk, the ones that were provided. And I don't know the numbers, but I may have the numbers in the description field. I don't remember. I also worked on Jane Thompson by Scarlet House, Jane Thompson, 1838. This was an exclusive through the Homespun Needlework Facebook group, I think it's called, offered through Shepherd's Needle. And so I got a few more of those flowers done around the edge and perhaps another word. I don't know. I mean, according to my calendar, I worked on it maybe 3 different days. So it's coming. Now, this is, I mean, it's so funny because in scheduling the galloping horse video for last week and choosing not to do a floss tube also, what I thought that was going to do was mean that last week was a quilting and sewing week and I wouldn't do any cross stitch. But it didn't really work out that way. I did quite a bit of quilting and sewing, but I also did cross stitch. So I have actually a lot to show. And as I'll say when I finish my little spiel, it's good that I have a lot to show today because of something coming up. So I finished this little beauty. This is a Bristol Sampling by Violets and Verses, Jennifer. This was a gift to participants at the Great British Sampler Weekend, and this is one strand of 815 DMC, over 16 count banding provided, and it's based on elements from the Martha Warboys Bristol sampler that Jennifer owns, and just, I love it. Now, what do you do with this? I'm going to try to get into touch with a friend of mine who is a woodworker and I think has the means to make me a spool. So we'll see. That's one of my thoughts. Hannah Campbell, Hands Across the Sea. Boy, I love this sampler. It has a lot of over 1 in it, which I am really enjoying. So what I did this time is I worked more on that cartouche and I did some more over 1 letters compared to last time. I think my next things I'm going to do are to finish those 2 cartouches and just keep going, you know, 1 at a time. Well, obviously 1 at a time. Every now and then, from time to time, one of the over 1 capital letters, that little alphabet in the middle, I put some of the letters in the wrong place. But you know, I think when it's finished, I don't think anyone will know. Because I think Hannah Campbell put some in the wrong place as well. So I can be just as good as her. So I don't think I showed on Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather last time. And amazingly, since my last video, or since the last time I showed it, wow, the light has suddenly gotten weird. Sorry. Since the last time I showed this, I've done 900 stitches on it, which is a lot of stitches. And you possibly can even maybe tell. So it turns out, I mean, I'm picking colors based on what's next or what feels like I should fill it in. And it turns out that most of it has been in her dress, I think. So that's I'm impressed with myself. I'm coming to the end of where I have it gridded, which means I really do have to, my what I do in my gridding is I will go back into, like right in here, there's a few individual stitches. So I will figure out what those are supposed to be and fill them in. And also, there's a stitch up here. And if I can, I will pull out gridding from this side over, you know, I'll fill it all into here. Although I don't know if that's gonna work. And then I'll grid out more this way. Now the problem that I'm having right now is that I'm coming to the end, and so these threads, these, not threads, but pieces of fishing line, basically is what it is, get caught under the stitches. I'm showing you the back of this. No comments. But you see it's caught here. But it's not really caught because it's just slippery and it doesn't take up any space. So when I pull it out, it'll just come right out. But it is annoying while it's happening. That doesn't keep me from stitching on it. What keeps me from stitching on it is the amount of confetti. Oh well, that is what it is with full coverage. And this is such a beautiful rendition of the painting. And you know, I need to remind myself that showing it on the video helps me get it into equal light. It really helps me appreciate it, because when I'm working on it, you know, I'm 8 inches from it or something, I can't really discern what it looks like. But when I see it from this distance, from the distance of showing it on the camera, I'm much more impressed with it. So good. Thanks for letting me show it to you so that I can appreciate it. Okay, there's that. And then I also worked on Winter Rose Manor. Whoa. I'm working on the flower basket on top of the house because seems like it's the next thing. I just cannot get over. Again, showing this on the video helps me appreciate it. It's really a beautiful piece. It's beautiful in its composition. So up here, I did a lot of, I think all the stems are done, and I just have to fill in. Maybe might be one more stem in that area, but there's a couple of leaf parts that are not. And then up in this border, I haven't filled in those sections. But really, that's close to done. So then the next thing I'm gonna do, I think, is to do the red cardinal, the male cardinal that's right down there above the gate. Now, the problem that I have here, I just decided when I realized it months ago that I wasn't gonna worry about it, but of course I still worry about it a little bit. That flower that the brown cardinal is sitting on is not in quite the right place, but it's so slightly is going to affect the composition of this that it's off by 1 stitch. It's 1 stitch closer into the house than it's supposed to be. It's not going to matter, is it? I hope not, because it's really too late to take it out. I did put the cardinal, the brown cardinal, in the correct place. So that brown cardinal is not oriented to the flower the way she's supposed to be. But she is oriented to the house the way she's supposed to be. So she will be oriented toward the red cardinal in the proper way. Love this. I have a goal to finish this year. So, and then here's the insanity moment, because we have to have one pretty much every video, right? When I finished the Bristol Sampling, the little band sampler, I said, oh, I finished something, I have to have a new start. Now, I'm laughing at myself and shaking my head at myself and rolling my eyes at myself, because I'm going to have a new start next week, which will be a major thing, which I'll tell you about in a moment, which I've mentioned before. But I decided I wanted to do Lost, Mrs. Salmond, 1897. And I like this because I like the sentiment. Lost, somewhere between sunrise and sunset, 2 golden hours, each set with 60 diamond minutes. No reward is offered, for they are lost forever. And let that be an object lesson. So I got it started. I just started the border. This is 46 count Latte, and I'm using 103 in 103. It's one of the colors that I bought for Hannah Campbell and decided that the 103 was not enough coverage for the 36 count ballet slippers, which is what I'm working that on. So I had the thread, and I decided I was going to use what I had. It calls for a little bit tealier, or a little bit more turquoise-oriented blue than that, but that's good enough. I think that's good enough. So that's, I mean, really, that's quite a bit of cross stitch, isn't it? Well, also, I finished this little pillow. This was one of my Nativity Sal stitches last year. And I'm really pleased. I put some coordinated fabric on the back. Now, I might put cording around this, but my big mistake, and the reason I'm thinking of putting cording, is to hide this little well, I call it a big mistake, and then I'm calling it a little mistake. It's a mistake. It's not really, probably. But when I was stitching this together, I used a sewing machine to go around. This is filled with polyfill. And when I left the opening, for some reason, I don't know what I was thinking, I left the opening in the top. So my hand whip stitching of the top together is there. And you can see it because you can. So I have to decide how much that matters to me. There are a few options. One would be to take it apart and redo it, which I don't think I'm going to do. Another would be to put some sort of an edging around that would disguise that. And tatting is another possible thing to put around there. So that's something. Fully finished, partially, almost fully finished. And because I like that so much, and because I saw this on somebody else's Flosstube, I bought the companion piece, which is, I'm not taking it out of the package. Sing We Joy Us All Together, Heartstring Samplery. And I'll work on that later this year when I finish Bethlehem, if I finish Bethlehem. And another thing I did is I pinned Eliza Stringer, age 6. So what I did is I went to Michael's, and I talked with the guy in the frame department, and he was funny to me. He seemed funny because he never met my eye for the first 10 minutes of our conversation, and he mostly looked at the wall. And so anyway, he was, you know, kind of shy, but he did give me the information I was seeking, which is what is the distance between the frame and the inside lip of the frame and the frame that you see. So he told me it was 1/4 inch. So I pinned this with that in mind. And because it's going to be framed, I wasn't too careful, too overly fussy about how these corners worked out, but they'll be fine in the frame, I think. And I measured, and it's pretty good, pretty close. And then just because the fabric was flapping around on the back, I taped it. I may lace it. Maybe I'll say also, or lace it and then take the pins out, or take the pins out as I lace it. I might do that, but I watched a video that my friend Ann recommended to me about lacing, and that person was lacing, he was lacing something that was stitched on Aida, so there's more firmness in the fabric of Aida just because of the way it's woven. And he laced it on, not on foam core, but on mat board. And the problem with that, for me, I think, is he didn't show then what happens. He didn't show how it goes in the frame and how you brace it in there and all of that. But he said he did not prefer foam core because it's brittle, and if you put tension on it, it cracks, which is true. That is true, foam board. And mat board has some flexibility to it, and there's some terms in engineering about what that means, about tension and compression and so forth, but I don't remember all the details. But this little piece, I mean, most of my pieces, if not all of them, are not heirlooms. I don't even think I signed this one. I'll probably sign it in pen on the linen that's not showing. Not heirlooms. They're just things for today. And whether my son and daughter-in-law want any of these things is open to question. As I've said before, I hope they want the one of the house. But anyway, that's on its way to being finished, to being fully finished, to being put in a frame. Now, here's where we're moving into the variety show. First of all, let me give you an update. I think it was 2 weekends ago was the Sudoku Grand Prix that I mentioned, and I mentioned some Sudoku books that I know you'll all have already bought because you're so interested. Well, I did quite well for myself in terms of my usual performance in the Sudoku Grand Prix. I got 96 or 97 points out of 600, so that was good. Now, there are more points available to the people who finished really fast because you get bonus points for time that you don't use of the 90 minutes that you're allowed. So the current world champion, Tan Tan Dai, who's from China, and she's about, well, she might be about 26 or 27 now, I suppose. I first became aware of her probably in 2020 when she was about 22 or 23. She has a YouTube channel where you can watch her. Sometimes she will show a video of herself solving. It's unbelievable how fast she is. I mean, I don't even know if I could write the numbers as fast as she solves some of those puzzles. If I could write random numbers, if I could just write any numbers, I'm not sure I could do it. Anyway, she was in first place after round one by quite a distance. The other people who finished top in the world last year were near the top this year as well. My son, Scott, got 131 points. And, you know, I look for other names that I've become aware of in the results. So the next weekend for that is in 2 weeks. I think it's the middle weekend of February. So there we go. I was poking around now, this different topic. I was poking around in some shelves, and I came across this little zipper pouch and realized that it has tatting in it. I'll take some of this out. I mean, this is stuff I have done. I did this. This is variegated thread, yellow and pink. Isn't that pretty? It makes such a pretty edging for a little girl's dress or pillowcase or something. And there's a little bit of blue going here. This is called Hens and Chicks, that pattern. You can sort of see it against the background of my sweater. This is size 80 or size 100 thread. Well, this little ball of pink variegated is size 80. So probably this is all size 80. Let's see. This has a tag in it. 125 yards. This is size 70. This is another pattern that's fun to make. I don't know if this has a name, but you know, I've made a bit of it. And here's that same, now this is, I think, size 100. This is finer. Same pattern in a pale pink. I mean, I used to do this constantly. I have to have really good light and some degree of magnification to do it now. Magnification in order to correct anything, because It's, now this is just plain regular, the simplest, almost the simplest edging. It's just a alternation between large and small. And this is the kind of thing that I think this is perhaps the very pattern that I used around the little pillow that was my Smalls Exchange contribution. In fact, where's that thing? I wonder if I could do this. It's maybe not quite the right color. This is an off-white or an ivory thread. This is, I'm pretty sure this is a DMC size 60 probably. When I was doing this a lot, I insisted on DMC when I bought it. And DMC was, I mean, this is DMC, was on the pricey side at the time. But my husband's grandmother, who taught me to tat, had a source for, or people gave her Coats and Clark's pearl cotton or lace thread or whatever they called it. And so she gave me quite a bit of that. And when she died, Byron's mother gave me a lot of her tatting stuff. So I have a lot of that. And for years, I haven't done any tatting because I felt that I couldn't do it because I couldn't see it well enough. Well, with magnification, I think I can. Bright light and magnification, I think I can see it. So I've been doing it a bit since then. Another thing I showed you some weeks ago is this knitting. So remember this ball of yarn. I mean, it's such a mess right now, but it was beautiful. And this is how far I am. Is this am I showing you the front? This is the front. I mean, it's a kind of cool because it's almost a reversible. This is the front. And I was excited about the fact that it had that olive green in it. Well, come to find out, the olive green is all intermingled with the blue. And now you see I'm going back into the purple. So I'm not sure I really like that. But I'm not going to stop knitting it. I'm not going to take it back and do something else with it because would I like anything better? I don't know. And you know, it's nice. For instance, I'm wearing this purplish thing that goes pretty well. I don't really normally wear olive green, but mixed with other colors, it's okay. The pattern I'm using is this fantastic lace scarf by Mountain Colors, and the pattern was made to use with their particular yarn. So it's a 12-row repeat, and because I can't keep track in my head or really see very clearly which row I'm supposed to be on, I just keep a little checklist. So you see I've done the repeat a lot, and I'm about to do row 8, which is the pattern row that involves the yarn over and so forth. So that one I have to have some degree of ability to concentrate. The other ones I can pretty much do them without it being completely dead silent. So that's something I've been working on, watching TV or listening to my book, Moby Dick. Our book club is discussing Moby Dick in 2 weeks. I'm reading it and listening to it, you know, alternating, using Audible. So in the Galloping Horse video, Cindy showed her completed snowflake button pillow, and I have now completed mine. I just think that is spectacular. So I've completed the button part. The kit, this was part of the Jenny Countdown to Christmas box in 2022, so 2 years ago. And the kit included this fabric as well as fabric to make the back of the pillow and the instructions of how to do it and the buttons. And so I'm going to finish that. And it's still winter, even though it's 63 degrees and sunny. So I'll finish that in a little, you know, a few days maybe, and have it out. And, you know, I actually have a pillow, I should show it sometime, that Leslie gave me years ago, which on the surface of it, it looks like a Christmas wreath. It looks like a wreath, I think it's a green wreath with a red bow or something on a small pillow that you would just stick on your couch or something. And then when you get close to it, you see that it's words. It's made of words. And there's a company that maybe you've heard of that you can get dish towels and t-shirts and pillows. And it's the complete text. This pillow includes the complete text, theoretically, of A Christmas Carol. And it is a Christmas wreath. Well, it's green and red and it goes with our living room. I actually keep it out all year. Because A Christmas Carol, though it is a story about Christmas and it takes place on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, it is one of those timeless themes. And I don't really care. Now, it's funny because my aunt, who's 96, saw a Christmas pillow at a store that she likes to shop at a few years ago, and she bought it. And it's very nice. It's sort of watercolor looking, and it's, I think, of Christmas, some people dragging a Christmas tree through the snow or something like that. You know, it's a wintry Christmas themed pillow. And she likes it so much that she keeps it out year round. And her daughter wishes that she wouldn't, thinks that that's crazy. You should not do that. But my aunt does it anyway. And I think, okay, I'm becoming my aunt. I'm keeping the Christmas pillow up year round. So you can just be watchful and see if I seem to betray any traits of eccentricities in addition to that one. So that is what I was planning to talk about today, except for I will have a new start, I hope, this coming week. And that is Jane Boyer 1834, which is the sampler that my friend Leslie is charting from the original, which is in the Leroy Historical Society in Leroy, New York. She finished the chart yesterday, I think. Yes, I think it was yesterday. And I have the PDF. I've looked it over. And she is going to send me the materials next week. It's around 18,000 stitches, and I need to finish it by, let's say, the end of July at the latest. So there'll be time to get it framed and to get it photographed for the cover photo for the chart. Wow, the light just changed again. Sorry. Oh well. When we get ready to present it at the little retreat that we're planning for mid-October. So that is going to be a major portion of my stitching coming up. And what I said to Leslie is that will be, I'll do that. I'll work on that every day. I'll have to probably work on it 6 days a week, say. I don't stitch every single day, probably. And then I'll break up the sameness of it using some of these other projects. But one of the good things that's happening this month in the Semi-Sane Stitchers Facebook group is that there's a Wordle contest, or not contest, but challenge, I guess, event, where you guess a Wordle word, you stitch 500 stitches, and then your Wordle word is evaluated against the secret word that is your secret word. And so there's a big incentive to stitch 500 stitches frequently, take a picture before and after. So I plan to use Jane Boyer for a lot of that stitching. The good thing is that you don't have to do 500 stitches all in one project, as long as you post your before and after pictures and your stitch counts. So I plan to do Jane Boyer a lot and then do some of these other projects a little. So that's why it's kind of good that I had so many projects to show you today, because in the future, in the coming weeks, I probably won't have very many, but I hopefully will have a lot of progress on Jane Boyer. And so we'll just see how that all works out. I'm really very excited about getting started on that. There's a lot of over one farther down the chart, and once I get started, I'll explain my plan for attacking that. The plan will be, it'll be 40 count vintage country mocha fabric, linen, and DMC, and Soie surfine maybe for the over one. I can't remember exactly what the colors are, or which of the finer threads we decided on. But very excited about that. So I hope that you'll see that as a start next week, which makes me starting Lost, Mrs. Salmond, very crazy. Very crazy. All right, that's enough. It's enough for me today. I hope you have a great week. I hope you've had a great couple weeks. If you're new, thanks so much for joining me. I'm getting the strong impression from YouTube that they like to see the number of subscribers increasing. So if you are watching and not subscribed, it would be great if you would subscribe. If you can think of people who would like to follow along my crazy journey, or are interested in the kinds of things I cover in my variety show, please recommend my videos to them. And there, I may have a few new viewers from the Queen City Sampler Guild as well. If not now, then soon. So whenever you join in, you're very welcome. I'll have more to say about that in a coming video. So that's all for today. Many blessings to you, friends.